Hello there. I have something that I call the narratives that I would like to present. It's the narrative of the old paradigm and the narratives of the new. So sometimes you have to stop, look, and listen to the totality of your situation in order to decide, do I want this? Is this the best we can do? So here I've compiled a summary of the narratives we are being asked to accept. It's a bit overwhelming when you consider the old paradigm narrative, but then I compiled a summary of a new narrative, something we might embrace once we get through the gap between the old and the new paradigm. So this is to help you make a successful crossing to that new paradigm with a whole new worldview. So I'm sharing it here in hopes you might be inspired, encouraged, and interested in getting to that new world. So the current narrative, which is the one that is dying out, begins. According to the Bible, God made the world and created Adam and Eve. He later banished them from the Garden of Eden when they ate from a forbidden tree, declaring that they were now tainted with original sin and would struggle and live in pain and die. If they were good and did as he said, they would go to heaven when they died. If they were not good, they would go to hell. So religion, however, has failed to convince humans to be good to one another and to behave in loving ways. And therefore, a microchip inserted in them will allow their behavior to be controlled, even turning them into godlike creatures if they wish. The human is flawed by racism, biases, prejudice, and misogyny. These are the natural results of original sin and thus must be corrected by transgender practices, forced migration, and re-education. Because of their biases and differences, humans represent a wide range of diverse and conflicting views and actions, and they have to be brought into alignment in order to achieve equality and sameness. The transgender programs will not only eliminate general inequality, they will help end racial and financial inequality and end gender inequality. We began coming out of caves only about 4,000, maybe 5,000 years ago. We were hunter-gatherers wandering aimlessly about until we discovered agriculture and began to settle down in groups and tribes. There were only a few of us then, but now there are far too many people on the planet, and the population must be reduced from 8 billion to 500 million. This will help ensure that no one is hungry. Most humans are useless eaters, and the need to feed them requires agricultural practices that are creating climate change and destroying the planet, which must now be corrected. To help the planet and stop climate change, cows, chickens, and pigs must be slaughtered by the millions. To help with climate change, we must abandon our traditional diets and begin eating bugs. Many humans do not have enough to eat, and this can be corrected by forcing people to eat the bugs as mentioned above. There should be no poverty. And to make certain this is the case, government will take from those who have gathered what they need and will give it to those who have little or nothing, thus impoverishing everyone. This interferes with soul development, and eventually everyone will own nothing. yet we will supposedly be happy. Humans are not good at controlling their spending and eating habits. The best way to help them and to make life easier for them is to control their money and what they can buy. We must follow the science because it's the only thing that is objective and real. Objectivity means that it can be seen and heard by all and it can be measured. All else is subjective, which is invalid and irrelevant. The universe began with the Big Bang and is about 14 billion years old. Our world is composed of particles that come together to create atoms that in turn form the elements of the periodic table. We are the only beings that exist in the entire cosmos. Sources of energy that we use include oil, gas, solar, and wind, all of which are used to produce electricity. Space is a cold, dark vacuum, and time moves only forward. Humans are poor and sickly and under constant threat of being attacked by viruses and bacteria, and they must be vaccinated in order to protect themselves. The easiest way to do this is to put the vaccines right in the food. Humans are not good at critical thinking and must be told what to think. We must be limited in the range of what we are exposed to in the news and the media so that we can handle it. Humans are incapable of managing themselves and their speech. So we must be censored lest anyone speak the truth about loss of rights, freedoms, or the corruption practiced by those in power. Because of their callous irresponsibility, humans must be fined and jailed for their sexist talk, their hate speech, their use of guns, alcoholism, and use of tobacco, as these are signs of a dangerous, unbalanced mind. Humans are sleepwalking through life until they adopt the woke perspective. We are lazy and unable to support ourselves without the organizing presence of corporations and jobs that provide income, medical insurance, and social security. Humans are expensive, unreliable beings, and they can be easily replaced by robots and clones. Because of their laziness and their replacement by robots and clones, humans will be happy to stay at home and accept a financial allowance each month. Nature and the natural world are messy and polluted, and they could be much better managed by businesses who tokenize trees, rivers, lakes, mountains, prairies, and all land, which will be a much more efficient way of setting value and managing everything. Money as cash, physical dollars, checks, and coins is not only a burden to carry around, but is also the source of much transmission of disease because it carries bacteria and viruses on the surface of the cash. Physical money also requires entire bank buildings just to house and handle it. The best solution for these problems is digital money in the form of central bank digital currencies that can be programmed and managed remotely. Humans are definitely in need of better governance and must submit to the New World Order, which will create a single form of government to oversee the entire planet. Humans lack the creativity to create vibrant cultures with music, art, design, literature, and architecture of a high order. Artificial intelligence will do a much better job, replacing their efforts and eventually the human. In order to save the planet, we will live in huge cities and be assigned to housing units that put us 15 minutes away from everything the authorities think we need. The presence of strong institutions will increase participation in global governance and strengthen cooperation between nations. Allegiance to sustainable development goals will help eliminate terrorism, promote non-discrimination in laws and policies, provide justice for all, and increase inclusivity. Because our national governments are awash in debt, it would be better for all concerned if government projects were financed by public-private partnerships. In these PPPs, projects would be funded by billionaires and oligarchs who would then be repaid by taxpayers who would hopefully benefit from some of these projects. So this concludes the old narrative. It's not 100% complete, but many of the main points are covered. The new narrative begins with a whole different set of assumptions. And there's many more of them because there are not many options under the old narrative. Not for us. Very few options. So let's begin the new narrative. Humans are magnificent beings of light, energy, and consciousness. Consciousness is primary and the source of our great power. God is understood as a great field of awareness and light that generates an indescribable love. We are part of Mother Nature and essential to the dynamic workings of our planet and our reality. We are the ones who make our world. We are naturally healthy because we allow ourselves to eat what nature has provided, sleep as needed, and we move about in our work, thus exercising the entire body instead of sitting at desks or engaging in limited, repetitive motions. Humans are extremely resilient in the face of many wars and other attempts to destroy us using vaccines, sprays, and lethal frequency weapons. We are focused on the development of the full human in accordance with how we are designed to evolve, to unfold into wisdom, power, and love. Humans are born perfect and in full alignment with the source, God. We understand that with the right kind of education and nurture, we can unfold the full power of our human design. We celebrate male and female genders and protect all children as the greatest of gifts, as teachers of unconditional love, as friends, and as companions along the way. We are superb critical thinkers, supremely insightful, intuitive, and no longer fooled by smooth words and outer appearances. We watch what people do and we learn. Humans are creative, industrious, and helpful to one another in a myriad of ways. We love smiles, the ability to gather close together, the freedom to critique ourselves, and the joy of belonging. We have learned to recognize propaganda versus news. We have learned to immediately recognize projection and gaslighting. We know why false flags and mass shootings are used. We know how to recognize computer-generated images, clones, and people wearing masks. We know and recognize the secret hand signals of the manipulators, the glitches in humans who are controlled by microchips, and we have learned to pay attention to the feelings and the intuitions we get from certain individuals. We have extraordinary creativity, inventiveness, and persistence in completing projects. And we've learned to recognize the deliberate roadblocks set up by the greedy, the sociopaths, and the psychopaths. Thus, we have learned to guard ourselves against interference. We have avoided being caught in the global New World Order by withdrawing from that system, setting up simpler lifestyles, reconnecting to Mother Nature, and realizing that she is the source of all wealth and security. We have continued to explore new ways of living together that do no harm and allow ongoing development of human consciousness. We have completely redesigned our homes using new concepts of architecture. All neighborhoods are designed to improve human connection and interaction. We have written new songs, discovered new forms of music, produced new art and clothing, and written new stories, resulting in a wholly new, beautiful, and vibrant culture that is self-sufficient, self-sustaining, and nurtures all. New forms of education now hold human development as primary and truth as basic. Reading, math, history, and the sciences have all been deepened and brought together as whole complexes of experiential learning and study instead of isolated, separate subjects. Education has been completely revamped, and children are taught first the principles of surviving in the natural world, and that survival of the natural world is critical to survival of the human. Telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and other useful skills are included in all education. What was formerly known as mainstream media slowly folded and disappeared, leaving truth media to blossom, which greatly enhanced the return of critical thinking skills. Spirituality has replaced religion as a whole new understanding of time, space, and reality replaced those childish stories and perceptions that once held sway and held people back from their own natural evolution. We recognize that corporate systems are the cause of all destruction of both the human and the environment through poor waste management and pollution of air, water, and land. We recognize the similarities between the operations of the Federal Reserve lending the government money and the public-private partnerships in which billionaire elites would lend us money. In both cases, the taxpayers had to repay this debt, and yet there was no involvement or voice of the people in the decision-making process or the projects being funded. We also recognize the conflict between the idea of a global government, yet one that left all of the national structures in place, yet gutting those national structures of power and using them only as sources of taxpayer money. So we have since moved beyond corporate systems of control to natural ways of working together that begin with the seed of an idea, which we then organize, build, produce, and feed or fill the needs of all, then clean up, disperse, and return to everyday living. We are recovering our personal authority and letting go of fear and manipulation in favor of working with love. Once free of corporate chains, we quickly discovered the great joy and satisfaction of working for ourselves, trading among ourselves, while getting to know people on the far side of the planet without the distrust or concern that they were planning to invade us. We recognize the value of money as a means of supporting trade, and we're seeking our own systems of money and value while celebrating the diverse forms of money we currently use. We are moving beyond the control system of money and finance. And although we have much to heal and to learn, we intend to reach the great freedom of moving beyond this kind of system. Medicine has been transformed from mainly drugs and surgeries to a minimum of drugs and surgeries and a maximum of emphasis on remaining healthy in the first place through personal nutrition, clean water, regular detox, regular exercise, and plenty of natural sleep. We now understand the cycles of degeneration and regeneration in the human cellular systems and how to restore ourselves by living and working in harmony with life. We have let go of the military model of bacteria, viruses, and diseases attacking us from the outside world. We recognize that bacteria and viruses are stages of cellular degeneration coming from within and meant to warn us to move back into the practices of supreme good health. As the energy cabal lost power, new forms of energy began to be used everywhere. Creativity and invention are thriving, and no one is without power to run their homes and businesses. The transgender people did split away to pursue their own ideas of a technocracy run by hybrids of human-robot origin, and leaving those who sought a path that was more in alignment with the spirit of evolving human potential to pursue their own path. The destruction of the natural world was stopped once it was recognized that this was a necessity if there was going to be any alternative to the transgender technocratic path. Repairs and regeneration of nature are occurring steadily, and all science, business, and governance is focused on accomplishing this task. Climate change turned out to be manipulation of large frequency waves using secret technology developed by those who sought control by creating weather wars and disruption of natural cycles. This was stopped, and the weather settled naturally into a cooling cycle, all part of the ways of the planet. Science is now focused on the study of consciousness and the many, many forms of life across what is now accepted as an electric universe. We understand that the objective world is the result of the subjective mind, and that the universe is ageless and has no meaningful start date. The world is composed of frequencies that interact in ways that, at the very least, can be described by Fourier transforms. We understand that space is alive and aware, and that time can be rolled forward and backwards. As for the US, it restructured itself somewhat into a handful of legal entities defined by their geology and resources. Each region is independent, but they all work closely with the others to maintain peace and prosperity. The number of humans on the planet will guarantee that at least some of us will survive if there's a micronova or a shifting of the poles. And that's why everyone is here. That and because there's an interest in the development of consciousness. We are not conspiracy theorists. We are pattern makers. Because of our high levels of awareness, we quickly spot patterns, both negative and positive. And because of our understanding of consciousness and human nature, we're able to discern the origins, the agendas, and the outcomes of all patterns. Either they come from love or they don't. Businesses are small and very efficient, nimble and healthy, replacing the monstrous corporate monoliths that took over so many lives and so much land, water, and energy. So we give thanks to those who taught us that our elections were being stolen, and for showing us how it was done, for teaching us to recognize lies, for demonstrating what doesn't work and how we never want to live, for revealing hidden technologies, for providing really sharp contrasts between good and evil, making it very clear, for letting us experience a loss of freedoms, for frightening us enough to awaken from the nightmare, for shaking us enough to drop our naivete and lethargy, and for all the wisdom and experience gained in the process. It was painful, but we are much richer in our understanding of what it takes to create and maintain a reality. There are fewer people now because many died in the medical wars and many others went with the technocracy path. But those who survived and chose human development instead of artificial and technocratic development are in love with life. We are in love with life, with the new world, with one another. We are unfolding our hidden abilities and setting a pattern of early and ongoing development of our children, forcing ourselves to learn quickly in order to stay one step ahead of the children and guide them wisely and well. We are healthy and we maintain that health carefully. We have everything we need without money getting in the way. And our main priority is to continue bringing science and consciousness together to discover the secrets of nature and apply them to everything we are as humans and everything we create. Our goals are to become multidimensional people, able to live in harmony with all others, defend ourselves effectively if need be, enjoy life, and explore many worlds. We are moving and breathing and thinking as one great heart, loving life, celebrating life, nurturing life as we move toward becoming eternal beings of wisdom, love, great knowledge, and some laughter. We are the people of the new earth.